WWF Royal Rumble for the Super Nintendo is the 1992 follow-up to the original Super WrestleMania game, a game that provided a rather decent wrestling title that is underwhelmingly bare bones in terms of its content. Royal Rumble for the most part offers the same gameplay introduced in Super WrestleMania, but expands upon the core mechanics with some worthwhile additions to make it a somewhat superior wrestling game in comparison. Aside from the addition of new talents such as Ric Flair, Mr. Perfect, and Crush, to name a few, Royal Rumble includes a number of new modes and match types. For example, there is now a proper championship tournament mode where you pick a wrestler and plow your way through the rest to lay claim to the World Wrestling Federation Championship. There's the Brawl mode where you and an opponent can beat each other up until a knockout is scored. There's the 2-man tags and 3-man tag team contests. And yes, there's the eponymous Royal Rumble match itself, which works as much as you would expect. The whole goal of a Royal Rumble, for anyone unaware, is that you have a number of wrestlers in the ring and they each have to be tossed out over the top rope. When one is tossed, another takes its place. This continues onwards until all superstars have entered into the Rumble, and the winner is the one who is left standing at the end. Strangely enough, there's no Survivor Series mode, which was in the last game, but they would bring it back in Raw, but that's another story for another time. Control is largely similar to what came before, which is fairly basic and fairly responsive stuff. Maybe a tad better than Super WrestleMania because I had a somewhat easier time pulling off moves here than I did the other game. Grappling is the same as before. Two wrestlers walk into each other to initiate a grapple, and whoever mashes the buttons the fastest gets to pull off a move depending on what button is pressed. While it's pretty much the same system as in Super WrestleMania, Royal Rumble adds a little helpful meter to let you know who's winning the grapple war. Not a bad idea actually. Much like Super WrestleMania, every wrestler has the same basic moveset, so everyone can do the same atomic drops, scoop slams, and so on and so forth. However, Royal Rumble also introduces dirty moves such as eye gouging and choking. These moves cannot be done during regular matches, or at least not in the ring, but are effective tools in brawls and Royal Rumble matches. Now, in addition to the basic movesets and the dirty moves, each WWF superstar has their own signature maneuver, and each can be done when your opponent's health is very, very low. So for example, Mr. Perfect can pull off his Perfect Plex. Ric Flair can perform the Figure 4 leg lock. Undertaker has the Tombstone Piledriver, and so on. Par for the course, signature moves can only be performed in certain situations, whether it's during a grapple or if an opponent is grounded. It depends on the move. Again, it's not a huge addition, but it's enough to at least differentiate the various wrestlers. The only real quibble I have here is that you have to win regular matches by pinfall, which means if you pull off a sharpshooter or an other similar submission maneuver, they'll hold on to the move for a moment and then let go a short while afterwards, so you could cover your foe for the pinfall victory. It looks pretty dumb, to be honest with you. In terms of visuals, Royal Rumble is virtually the same as Super WrestleMania as far as the in-ring product goes. Large superstars that are detailed and distinguishable enough to be recognizable, but are hampered by stiff animation, especially when it comes to moving around and just doing stuff. Even with the similar visual style, there's a few added touches to Royal Rumble, such as a brighter arena and the appearance of a massive crowd on hand to witness your main event matches, at least in comparison to Super WrestleMania, which seemed like a much smaller crowd. They're not massive changes to say the least, but they're enough to make the game feel that much grander than its predecessor. When picking out wrestlers, you're treated to large digitized pictures of the currently highlighted superstar, along with some stats and a quick bio. The pictures are of nice quality, yes, but having to cycle through these one at a time does feel cumbersome, and they never did fix this for the sequels. Oh well. Sound-wise, it's not much to listen to. The various sound effects used in-game were almost copy and pasted from the last game. The same punch sounds and slam sounds, along with the same universal grunts used by all the wrestlers. Wrestler themes sound decent though, closer to the real versions, but still somewhat different sounding. No real complaints though. On a whole, WWF Royal Rumble is a rather substantial improvement over Super WrestleMania. Whereas Mania felt rather bare bones in terms of its offerings, Royal Rumble packs plenty of replay value with its championship mode, Royal Rumble match, and varied superstar offerings. It's a pretty decent wrestling game for the most part, and anyone who enjoyed Super WrestleMania and never got to play this one should do themselves a favor and do so. It really is a step up from that prior game. But As good as Royal Rumble happens to be, and it's a pretty good game, it's not the best of the 16-bit WWF efforts. That one's a little more raw, but it is a much better game. But we'll get to that one somewhere down the line.